something that really interests me is how does it work? So how does somebody, so people can go today to hour1.com, I guess would be the website,
.ai. Yeah.
.ai. And then how does one create a virtual being? What's the process like?
Mm-hmm. So in our process, where we're focused on the visual aspect of the virtual human, what we do is
And auditory, right?
Yes. So we also, so our special sauce, our own foundational models are focused on the visual aspect. And then we actually integrate a lot of different technologies. So we've integrated voice AI providers, including 11 Labs as one. We integrate ChatGPT. We integrate a lot of other technologies to create an overall product that enables you to create kind of your total visual and sort of auditory virtual self. And we
Gotcha.
make all of those technologies work really nicely together to create that kind of highly realistic conversational AI twin.
So the Hour One IP, the moat is in video, and then you are open to using these other generative providers around voice and text.
Mm-hmm.
And you integrate that into the visual presence.
And then the other thing that we're really focused on is the actual experience of it. And I know that I need to go back and tell you how we actually create an AI clone of you. But while we're talking about the things that we do and are focused on, it's also delivering templatized experiences for people to go in who don't have video skills, who are not professional video editors, who are not professional creators, who can go in and select templates. So very soon, for example, you will actually have a kind of podcast interview type template. So you could create the video version of something that is only captured in audio. So that we're sort of...
Maybe we're doing that today.
Well, exactly.
That's why the audio and video are so good today. Like, oh, we're in a new studio, recording in person with amazing audio and video quality.
We're just going to clone this, basically. This is all training data for our new product. So we're also really focused on that. But just going back to how do we actually create your AI avatar? So what we do is we take some footage of you talking, moving, expressing yourself in the ways that you do. And we usually do that in a green screen studio. Or that's for sort of the maximum flexibility of background and environment. You can just drop your AI avatar into any environment if you're using a green screen. So that's probably the most common popular choice for our customers today. But the other thing you can do, if you have seen Reid Hoffman's AI avatar, aka Reid AI, he is sort of, been all over the internet. People have really responded well to Reid AI.
I didn't know that. Quickly for the audience,
Yeah.
Reid Hoffman, in case you don't know, he's the founder and former CEO,
Yes.
I think, of LinkedIn.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And he created his AI avatar with Hour One. And he has actually created videos of himself in conversation with Reid AI about topics like AI and the future of this space, what it means to be you, what it means to have an AI avatar, what are the opportunities, what are the challenges, etc. So to create Reid AI, we actually sort of deployed kind of a new method and a new product that we called cinematic avatars. And for cinematic avatars, you can just be captured naturally in your home or office environment, somewhere that you feel comfortable in, that you would like to create a lot of videos from, right? So it's kind of like a more relaxed, very realistic, laid back kind of mode, as opposed to the green screen mode, which is kind of a bit more professional.
It is, and that's like the green screen mode. I'm familiar with that because I saw 2 years ago at the first Insight Partners Scale Up AI conference, Nikki Parker, who was the host of the 2-day event, she had an Hour One. I didn't know at the time, or I didn't recall immediately when I met you last week that it was an Hour One. I think you brought that up. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But and so I'm used to that kind of, that is the Hour One thing that I've seen. Also last week when you were interviewing Jamie, you also showed examples of that. So it's very formal, forward-facing, camera-facing. When you see kind of an advertisement on TV, kind of like the standard pose.
Yeah, it's sort of like talking head, but sort of up to about kind of hip level. Arms kind of being, with a reasonable range of expressiveness for the use case of talking to the camera. And with Reid AI, he's also kind of talking to the camera, but he's also sort of talking to the side, and he's in kind of more laid back mode, and you feel like he's sort of talking to you in just a more relaxed fashion. And it's just got a different feel for it. It's worth kind of, maybe we'll put it in the show notes so people can kind of see the kind of different modes. And we've been playing with sort of different types of avatars for different use cases and seeing what people are really drawn to. So we see that people are really drawn to the cinematic type avatar of Read AI for the use case of thought leadership. So I can very well see you, for example, having your own cinematic avatar to create, just as an example, ancillary content to your podcast content that you want to put in video, and maybe follow-up ideas and thoughts to a particular episode that you can kind of create quickly and sort of and post out there. You can also, and I think what's really interesting is also this dynamic of being able to create new formats of content. So being able to, Read really inspired this idea of being able to kind of talk to your avatar. And so what you're going to see from us is more kind of contextual sort of formats that enable people to do things like that. So I think we're really just scratching the surface in terms of what's possible with AI avatars. And, I think the beginning of the web, we had a newspaper homepage. And what did we do? We just sort of copied and pasted it onto a website, and that, we're like, okay, done. That's digital. And then we started playing with the buttons and the interactivity and the ability to copy and scale and iterate and mainly to interact, right? And so I think that we've barely begun to do that with AI avatars. So far, we've just taken a talking head that you see on, CNN or wherever, and then okay, well, let's just put that just, in an AI tool, and that's that. But I think we're just getting past that point, and we're starting to see what AI can do in terms of AI avatars and virtual humans. And so as I mentioned, we've kind of been working on this dual avatar in conversation in this sort of podcast kind of environment, or like an interview setup. And what we just saw a few days ago is Google's Notebook LM development, which to us is very validating, but also it continues to expand our notion of where this technology is going in terms of how we're going to use it and how we're going to play with it. So Notebook LM, you can just go Google it, go onto the website, and you can upload a PDF. You can upload an entire manuscript of a book. You could just drop in the URL for your website, and you basically hit a button and you hear a conversation between two people, or so it seems, a male and female voice, and extremely lifelike, interesting, engaging voices having a conversation about your data. And it actually reminded me a few years ago, we wrote a blog post on our Medium channel for Hour One about how we're all about how your data can talk to you. Okay. And so we were kind of imagining, this is about 3 years ago, I think we wrote this, imagining how soon on, your instead of just getting like a link, a result when you search on Google, you would actually have a presentation of what it was that you had searched for, right? And it would be this kind of friendly, engaging response. And in a way, actually, I'm just thinking about this in real time, that's kind of what you get with these LLMs. You're getting a response that's tailored to you. And in our imaginations as an AI avatar company, we envisage that being delivered by someone, by a virtual human, but gathering all of this data and synthesizing it in a way that feels very personal and have your data talk. And so to see these developments with Notebook LM, and in parallel, our own work to develop kind of these new sort of AI avatar native formats, which are conversational. It really, I think we're seeing this idea of making your data talk come to fruition in ways that we couldn't have imagined, but sort of in the territory of kind of like how important it was going to be.
And all of these pieces exist today technologically. So with things like your video rendering capabilities that are the core IP of Hour One, with the outstanding voice generation capabilities that you get through providers like 11 Labs, and there's lots of providers out there, there's going to be more and more. Most of the big tech companies will offer that if they don't already.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, as I expect every listener to the show has experienced, we can, it's trivial now for us to imagine going into Claude from Anthropic or ChatGPT or Gemini from Google and copying and pasting data or a Jupyter notebook or any kind of information and say, create the transcript for a 10-minute conversation, a podcast-like conversation between two people. And that's trivially easy now to imagine. And to imagine that it's going to work really well, especially because we're seeing today, for the most part, that hallucinations are relatively rare with that kind of local information.
Mm-hmm.
When you're providing the document, and it's not an absolutely gigantic document,
Mm-hmm.
then you can expect that the hallucination rates will be low, and that conversation quality will be really good. So then you have it, and then you can take that conversation generated by your favorite text-to-text LLM, pass that into 11 Labs to create the voice, and pass that into Hour One to create the video, and boom, you've got.
Or you just do it through Hour One because we've integrated all the different components for you.
Yeah.